Um, and so that's the purpose of this talking with Mrs. Azira Hill on July the 8th, 2011. It's really showing my age to say 19 something.
You're fine.
And so what we want to have a record of the interviews so that, students, the Andrew Young School is a policy school, and we want them to really understand what has gone into the making of the Atlanta that they see today.
And that's the last one, I promise.
And that you were such an integral part of particularly the early, well, really all of the years, from 1960. But when did you come to Atlanta, and what was it like when you came?
I came in 1951.
Wow.
Grady Hospital School of Nursing.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I came. So that was a different world.
And what was the nursing school? What was the nursing school like?
Well, the same, equal. Separated and unequal.
Mm-hmm.
Although we did have classes together, but the whites were so small, the numbers were so small that we had to have classes together. What happened is that the whites would be seated in the front of the room, mm-hmm. and the girls, the rest in the back.
And how did you decide to come to Atlanta for nursing school? You were coming from Cuba?
Well, I came earlier to high school in Jacksonville.
Okay.
Then I started at Bethune-Cookman College. Mm-hmm. And that was not going to happen because I was thinking about medical school and, mm-hmm. Soon to see the light. So I decided perhaps I need to try nursing school and see where I go from there. Mm-hmm. So Bethune-Cookman was very difficult. I had language problem. I was making grades, but I didn't have any money for books. Mm-hmm. And there was one particular person that gave me a very hard time about buying books and workbooks and stuff. So I just went to the president and I told him I can deal with this. You have the language barrier, I have the matter, the subject that I have to, and then I have to deal with this person. And she told me she was going to flunk me if I didn't get certain books. So I told him, I was saying that I had a scholarship. And so I looked into, at that point you have to have a B average to have a student visa. You couldn't play around. So I knew that's going to be difficult. So I started at Brewster Hospital, which was in Jacksonville. But they had lost their accreditation, so then my advisor suggested that I come to Grady, which was a very, very strong Southeast. Mm-hmm. So that's how I got here. And, the rest of the dormitory, it's a little warm in here. Are you? No, just me? Okay.
Whatever's
summertime.
for you.
But anyway,
the dormitory.
Yeah, the dormitory was separate, mm-hmm. Even though they were Latin American students, they were lighter shaded hue, but they could stay in the white area. But, I had to go in the black dormitory. So that was the welcome to the welcome to Atlanta, And see, I came from where you didn't speak about race and color and stuff like that. So that was very hard to deal with. But what gave me comfort was that I came here to school not to, do anything else but to go to school, period. So that would concentrate on that. And that kind of gave you the energy to keep going. So-
when was Hugh Spalding built?
This is where my dormitory was, right there.
Uh-huh.
No, Hugh Spalding was not there at all. That was my dormitory, wasn't that right there, exactly in the same place. So Hugh Spalding came near 54 or 55. Yeah, 54 because I think it was like before 30.
So was that an improvement on the wards for black patients when they built?
Yeah, that he was, but he was kind of general because I know that later after I got married and had children, I had Azira was born there. Yes, in a sense, yes.
So how did you meet Mr. Hill?
At Big Bethel, that is in the next block down the street. You know, he was at the Y. He lived at the Y, which is right there. Was on Butler Street, half a block from the church, and about a block and a half from Grady Hospital. And you know how it is with students. Although he was not a student, but people gravitated to Grady, and there were Friday night dances. At the for the, you know, and the students. I mean, the young people would come from colleges and the neighborhood. Although he didn't come there, we met at the church because he was superintendent of the Sunday school. And so when I came, the very same day that I came almost to Atlanta, I met him because I came, put my suitcase down, and went to Sunday school. And he was superintendent of Sunday school, so that's where we met, right there. And so then, you know, we became friends. And let's see, how long was that? We married in 55, so that's 5 years later. 5 years later, we married in Cuba.
In Cuba.
So
So did he come to Atlanta to work with Atlanta Live?
Yes, he had finished. In fact, he had two masters at that
He had
time.
2 masters.
Yeah,
From University of Michigan.
Michigan.
And he had an MBA.
But I think he was kind of early. I mean, he was young, really. Yeah, I think it was let's see, what was his field was actuarial science. Yeah, physics. I think he studied physics.
And physics. So why did it take you so long to get married?
Well, because I came to school. And number one, secondly, he went to Korea. And we were not, I mean, we met. And he went his way and I went mine. Then later, after he came back to Korea, then we started dating. And when I graduated and went home. And then he came and got married there. Plus, I mean, it gave me time to think about it because he was always busy, you know. And I was thinking, even a little later, he was always very involved, and I just had reservations about, you know, you have to really decide how you want to live that kind of life, you know. Because he was different. He was very serious about his job and the community. And so he was involved with the NAACP and the Urban League. And then there was a group that is not, a lot of people don't know about it. That was the Atlanta Committee for Cooperative Action.
Atlanta Committee for
Cooperative Action. You may not have even heard about it. ACA was ACCA. And
Tell me about that.
that was Carl Holman. Carl Holman. Westerfield, Dr. Westerfield, that was at the AU Center. Whitney Young. They later went to the Urban League, National Urban League. I mentioned Carl Holman, right? There was Dr. Ellison and Dr. Clinton Warner. And Q.B. Williamson, that was later city councilman.
And he was in real estate.
Real estate. Can't think of anybody else, but it was about 15 or 20. And and they were very serious. And there's a little pamphlet that they wrote, the state of the the blacks in the Atlanta community, and they had comparisons of the expenses for education and other things. This is quite, it's very small but very informative. We may try to find one.
Yeah.
There's one public library probably had it. And that
And
was
when was-
1960.
1960.
It was a publication.
So he
Most of
was-
those people, many of those people are gone.
Right. So he was active. I mean, from the first time he came.
When
to
he
Atlanta.
put, that's right, when he put his foot in Atlanta, he went to the Urban League and volunteered. And Coleman used to joke about it because they say, it's crazy, a young man like that come, he really was not a party person or, anything like that. He was very serious about the involvement in the community always.
Do you think that's why he came to why he came to Atlanta, or what?
Oh,
what brought him-
absolutely, yes. Because he knew about Mr. Herndon. And Mr. Herndon was the founder of the Atlanta Life, and he was a slave. And he started his company with a little, they said $5-10, whatever. Came to Atlanta with, say he was a barber, and his sisters, and started this barber shop. So he started his insurance company, and it grew to be the largest black insurance company.
Yeah, I saw they're having some ceremony about the Herndon home soon. There's some anniversary of it. So it was one of the grand houses in the black community that has been restored. So tell me about the voter league. After you all got married, there was the
Atlanta community, let me see, was voted, registered, just a moment. It was voter education, but it was Dr. Baker was heading that, and he'll work with that, and after Dr. Baker retired or whatever, he took it over and went on for several years.
Mr. Hill took it over.
Yes. That was the, I'll tell you in a minute. They'll come back.
It's like the Atlanta Committee for Voter Education.
For Education, something like that.
I think, yeah, I've got the name. We've got the name of it somewhere.
That John Lloyd worked with that also.
And what, because there was a lot of, do you remember some of the strategy, some of the discussions around, at the end of the white primary, and trying to get more black voter participation so that, some of the things that people wanted in Atlanta could be.
But this committee was very strong. And there was Ellen Brayboy, you remember? That, she was, that was really her thing, for years and years. And she recruited people to, after, because you have to have the literacy test.
Still.
You still have the literacy test?
No, I was saying even at that point,
Oh,
you had the literacy test.
because I know when I registered, I had to read somebody to be able to register. But and she recruited people like Miss Antonin and others like that, and I was in there, and I became a registrar. And we went to churches and neighborhood groups and tried to register people. And that was there was a group of really dedicated people that volunteered with that for years. Really.
So what was it like to be, because you were in that, you all were the first group of blacks to be deputy registrars.
That's right.
So what was it like? What was the training? How did you What did you have to go through for
Well,
that?
as I say, Miss Brayboy kind of coordinated it. And so she recruited that, and she had the training sessions. And then you went to shopping centers and just different places, and it was an ongoing thing. And then to later, when near the election time, you encourage people to go to vote. And even those that had cars would drive people. And it was really, really intensive.
Do you have any particular election that was especially, exciting or?
Well, Andrea.
Well, that's a good one.
Yeah, well, there were several.
Yeah.
But that was much, that was later. But in the beginning, you had to deal with like Marcel and, local. That was the beginning.
So,
But it was excitement, and it was, it really was so much excitement that you couldn't think of nothing else. That you want to work on it. That's like another job, Yeah.
What was the decision like to support Marcel? Was there a lot of division, or then there was another group that would sort of do a ticket, right? That would.
Well, that was the league of some kind of league, I can't remember. And yes, they would do it. Yeah, they would do a suggestion of who to vote for, and they, after then, little groups started sprouting from that. But that was the really beginning. The beginning was that way back with Dr. Baker.
The election of Sam Marcel, how was it regarded? We had a ticket that had Sam Marcel as mayor and Maynard Jackson as vice mayor. Was that an exciting time?
It was.
The first citywide elected.
The first time, but the second time, this was the election when Maynard ran against Sam, right? And there was a little thing there, and my husband went to Sam and told him, "I'm sorry, but I can't support you," because he supported him. I had to work with Maynard.
So that was 1973's campaign when Maynard Jackson ran against Sam. And that was a very divisive campaign, with race as the major issue. How did you feel about that campaign? Were you disappointed in Marcel's campaign slogan and all the...
Not necessarily, because he was a good mayor. But, this was the fruit of what you were working for.
Okay.
This was like, step on the direction that we wanted to go. So, there was no, malice, anything like that, I don't think.
Mr. Hill was very much involved in other community activities. The Chamber of Commerce was sort of a groundbreaking effort for him. Do you have any memories of his involvement with the other business leaders in the city?
Yes, there were. But there were. I'm sure that you had heard of the Action Forum. Action Forum was very powerful because they had all the big businesses and banks, and everybody were members of that, and they met faithfully every Saturday. From there, a lot of things came up. They was mainly men, and the first woman was guess who? Just guess who? Coca-Cola. Ingrid Sanders-John was the first woman that they allowed to come to the meetings. That's right. That's the first woman. And that was very interesting. And from there, I guess from there they kind of encouraged them to kind of change things. And so Hill was elected the first black president of the Metropolitan Chamber. And so that was just added work.
For him or for you?
Well, both invited me for whatever he had. I was right there. You had to.
Yeah. Did you attend the dinner for Dr. King?
Oh, yes.
What was that like?
Frightening.
Frightening.
Yeah.
Say some more.
It was nothing that you really enjoyed, because you had all this picketing. They had the client picketing and raising sand out in the street, and yes, everybody was nervous, but it came out well.
Mm-hmm. Had there been a formal dinner like that was black and white before that time?
Before that, no, never.
So what dresses?
And actually, it almost didn't happen because there were threats and things.
So what was it like to do that? To have because whites had their formal dinners and blacks had theirs, but
yeah.
What was it like to have that come together for the first time?
Well, given that there were people that wanted to do it, both black and white. Mm-hmm. It was not like you were forcing it. Mm-hmm. The whites supported it, and it was just this other group, that disagreed and they wanted to happen. So, but you had, like you have, what's that man, Rothschild, who was the
rabbi?
Rabbi.
Mm-hmm. At the temple.
Right. Mm-hmm. And you remember the temple was bombed. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so that was also, because they were also persecuted as we were. Mm-hmm. But since the mayor changed his mind, because at first, we have the Peyton wall.
Right.
And but then the mayor changed his, Mayor Allen that is, changed his ways and attitudes, and so that kind of made it easier. Mm-hmm. And from then on was, they saw that it was profitable for everybody. So best to have peace and harmony than all that fighting.
So what did you wear? Do you remember?
Oh gosh, no.
Where did you get your dress? Where did you get your dress?
My dress?
Yeah.
My sewing machine?
You made it?
Yes.
Okay. Because what was it like shopping in Atlanta at that point? Because that was before...
It was very difficult, and you'd rather not do it. Mm-hmm. And I've been sewing since I was 12 years old. Mm-hmm. So I made my clothes and my children. Mm-hmm. And you go to the store, and in some places you cannot try you can try your clothes on, or they will follow you every step of the way. It's afraid that you're going to steal something, and so you rather not put yourself through that. Mm-hmm. And Riches used to be at that time, had fabrics, and they were all the fabric stores. That you had some little more, because Mr. Rich, I guess, was he Jewish? I guess, yeah.
Although,
yeah,
of Jewish heritage.
Yes. Well, there many things happened there, because the steel was separate. They had the, in fact, that we were up on the 5th floor where the fabrics were, and I had Nancy just beginning to walk, and proud of being toilet trained, but the restroom for blacks was in sub-basement. You had to go all the way down there, and by the time we got there, she wet herself and she just cried, and he'll cry with her, and he wrote Mr. Rich a letter about it, and we kept it for a long time. And then much later, Mr. Rich asked him to be on the board of Riches, and things changed a lot.
So he went on. He went on the
He
board.
was on the board for a long time, yeah, until they sold it, and we were glad to have that because they were courtesy then extended and all that, and we enjoyed, and I'm still enjoying, and I still have a discount.
I had a question. Sorry. Just the fact that you've lived in Atlanta for so long, I just was wondering what do you see as the major turning points in Atlanta that brought it to where it is today?
Oh gosh,
I know that's a loaded question.
Yes, I don't think there was one thing. There was, I guess you can say several. The main thing, I suppose, was the willingness of the white and black to work together. That's really what it was all about, And this is what the Action Forum did, and then the Chamber of Commerce was very instrumental.
Do you remember the Atlanta student movement, speaking of riches, and when the students started?
The student movement, yes, it was very exciting and rocking time, because you had so much went on, beginning, even a little before them, or separate from that, was the integration of the schools. And, Hill was on that also. So he was here recruiting students to go and enroll in different schools. And you had to work with the families to be moral support and to offer all you could, even driving sometimes to places. And some of the houses were bombed. And then Charlene and Hamilton's enrollment at the University of Georgia. And so that also Hill orchestrated. I don't know whether you know that or not, but
tell me about that.
Well, Hill had they had an office at Atlanta Life has an office in Athens.
Okay.
And we'd have more than one job. A person that worked at Atlanta Life also worked as a janitor. And so he stole an application because they would, Ms. Charlene, or they couldn't get it. So that's how the application started. I don't know this person's name or anything, but that's how it started. Because he actually was through Atlanta Life employee.
And then A.T. Walden was also was sort of on retainer from Atlanta Life.
Yeah.
And but Donna Hollowell did this case.
Donna Hollowell, Jordan, what's his name? Vernon Jordan. And oh gosh, what's the other guy?
Was Horace Ward?
Horace Ward. And that was exciting to meet the chief of NAACP, Thurgood Marshall, and Connie Motley.
That's why she is why I went to law school.
Is that right?
Because she was, the only woman I knew that was a lawyer, and the role that she played in, with SCLC
and see, there was another guy, Greenberg,
Jack Greenberg.
But they used to come almost weekly here, and you had to provide places to stay because they couldn't stay in the hotels, places to meet, and food, and all of that. And that was our role, the spouses and the wives. That's what we did most of the time.
So who stayed with you?
Nobody, but because I didn't have I had 2-bedroom and I had 2 kids. So. But there were a lot of meetings in my house. A lot of meetings in my house.
And where were you living then?
Simpson Terrace. And we had this little house, again, Simpson Terrace, had 2 bedrooms. That's all I could accommodate anybody. But they stay with, oh my goodness. He was a lawyer that did a lot of property things. What's his name? Kind of short, very light skin.
I don't know, not T.M. Alexander.
No. He's
Before that time.
Name escape. Yeah, they were really good friends.
Not Calloway.
She was in Circulates, big thing. His wife.
Was in what?
Huh? She was in Circulates.
Circle X.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can remember about her. Thomas. What Thomas? You remember Thomas?
So when they would come in, they would have to stay in people's homes and meet in people's homes.
Right.
And what about Pascal's? Did people meet at Pascal's then?
Pascal was there, but I don't think the hotel was quite there yet, was it? No, I don't think so. No.
And I guess and even the more formal dining room wasn't
Right.
there yet either. Yeah. So you had to meet in people's homes
home.
for everything. Or what? People
Edwin
meet in
Thomas.
churches?
Edwin Thomas.
People didn't meet in churches.
Oh yes. Yeah.
So was Big Bethel?
Big Bethel was headquarters. Yeah, because actually it was the biggest auditorium for blacks in the city for a long time.
It was used for quite a few conventions
Yeah.
for African American groups coming to the city. So it's played a role far beyond just a place
Yeah.
to worship.
Yeah, that's right.
Theater and culture.
Because Hartsfield addressed a black group. I think that was in your book at Big Bethel.
Right.
That was meeting.
He would go down and welcome them on behalf of the city. They would actually desegregate the park occasionally and then let groups who were visiting the city have a picnic at Piedmont Park and then segregate it on Monday.
Oh, well. So we said the Atlanta student movement. You said that was an stressful time. Did Mr. Hill he played some role in?
Well, yes.
What was his view of the students sort of taking that more confrontational role?
I'm sorry.
When the students decided to, sit in and boycott instead of, do the courts and negotiate, sort of how did Mr. Hill feel about how the students were behaving?
Oh, they were very supportive because, Hill was one of the ones that would bail them out. That was really his primary job. And that's why we were asked not to picket or to march or do anything because we had to be available to go. Somebody was arrested and you go immediately and bail them out.
So where did the money come from for bailing them out?
One little house that I had in Simpson Terrace. And then Mr. Herndon was generous, very generous, and Herman Russell.
So they came up with the bail money for the students.
And most of the time was no money, was just word of mouth, just because I think some of the judges were kind of, very tolerant at that time.
So some of the judges, because it was still...
With the exception of the one that told Hill, if you come back one more time with that little house, I'm going to throw you in jail.
So you would put up your house over and over and over?
Yeah, because that's all we had. But Mr. Herndon did back up, whatever was necessary.
So you felt that there was a sense that
To
he was
have
kind of guaranteed.
right.
And how old was he at that point?
I would say 50 something.
So he was still.
But he he was kind of recluse. He didn't come out anywhere. But he would tell you, I'll support you, whatever.
So what were the college presidents thinking? I mean, well, I guess
Some of them are, some were kind of didn't say much or stay in the background or something. No, they did not participate.
and what was the feeling kind of in the community, in the churches, in the social
I think
clubs?
everybody was on it and for it. And that's when the Inquirer was kind of.
Yeah, tell me about how that got started.
The Inquirer was that the world did not, publicize any of the activities going or make announcements, anything like that. So there was also known as first husband. I can remember Clayton. Clayton, yes. Clayton started the Inquirer, but didn't have any money. So he got up a group. There was Herman, Dr. Warner, I don't know, some others, and they got a lot of money together and bought the Inquirer from Clayton, and that's how it started.
And specifically to cover.
The cover, right? And Julian was the. Carl Holman was the editor, and Julian worked with that at the beginning. Alice, his wife, his first wife.
Carl Holman was the first editor.
Yeah. Carl was brilliant. He left, went to Washington from
To the Urban Coalition.
Urban Coalition.
And that newspaper became really the voice of the student
That's
movement?
correct. That's correct.
Was there a good bit of tension between the older...
There was some, because the Scots, first they were Republicans, and I guess the other group was more Democrat. That was part of it. And so they were, that was part of it. There was distinction.
So you were really one of the people kind of moving back and forth between the black community and the white business community. When was the first time you had one of Mr. Hill's colleagues in your home, one of the white business people?
I don't think you had much of that. They would ask you to come to the office or something like that. But I don't think, or maybe there was not much home thing.
Do you remember the first time you went to the Piedmont Driving Club?
Piedmont Driving Club, I think may have been when Hill was installed, because they had a big party, a big dinner. That I remember Mrs. Allen gave me a gift, and it was really a very nice affair.
This is when he was installed as chair of the
Chair of
chamber?
the chamber, yes.
So were you all the only blacks there that weren't serving?
Don't know. I don't know.
Maybe Herman was there?
Possible. Because Herman was the first member of the Commerce Club that was admitted by mistake.
Right. So it was the Commerce Club, not the Chamber, formally?
No.
Okay.
But it's no, it's not. But it's the same people, kind of. Because that was Mills Lane, and Mills Lane was president of CNS Bank, very wealthy and very powerful, and whatever he said, that would happen. So he was the one that decided, well, it's time to stop bickering and fighting each other. We're gonna, when they opened, the Commerce Club was integrated.
What was he like, Mills Lane?
Mill Lane was like a very country-like, a very pleasant person. I remember going to, I think we were in Hong Kong, I believe we were, and we saw him in the lobby, and he just loud, you know, in shorts, and very casual, and very, you know, loud, and he'd be very casual. Yeah, Mills Lane, what did Mills Lane say?
So he was, well, Mills Lane, and who else do you see were the really powerful?
Well, Mayor Allen, Mayor Allen and Mills Lane were very close friends. Portman, some other people are gone, I think. You know, to the banks. I can't remember names. Something Brown. I can't remember what Brown's
Bennett
name.
Brown.
Bennett Brown. Bennett Brown. Probably one of the few houses we went first early on. He did have a party in his house, and had a good time. Everybody ate and drank and all that, and then he started singing "Good Night, Irene," and everybody made a joke of that, and he was known for that.
Did he sing well, or?
Well, no, he was joke. He was a big jokester.
So which bank was he?
Was CNS?
CNS.
CNS.
So he was after Mills Lane?
Right.
After Mills Lane.
Mills eventually moved to Savannah, did he? Back
Yes,
down
he
there.
left Atlanta.
Left
Yeah.
Atlanta. And Bennett Brown became head of
Head of CNS.
CNS. And
What was the other bank?
Trust Company.
Dutch Company. And that was, man's name, I can see his face on it.
Strickland.
Strickland.
Frank Strickland.
Strickland.
And then I don't remember the man before Strickland, I'll have to say. I just don't know.
There was first Atlanta, but was that less influential? Because they always hear about Trust Company and CNS.
CNS.
It was, I don't know how to say it, it was just never as important, as
Not
big
as-
a footprint in the city somehow. And then there were the savings and loans
Yeah.
that were sort of below that as
Yeah.
a second tier. And that was one of the first banks to be bought out.
First Atlanta.
Ultimately by Wachovia and now again Wells Fargo. So they got bought and sold fairly quickly.
First Onion. First Union
Yeah,
was one of them. Maybe they merged.
they merged to.
Gosuega was very active with the Action Forum. One of the few things they really was.
Did he have a special fondness for you?
Well, he smoked all the time, and so the only thing we talk about is stop smoking. Yeah.
He didn't. So how long did the Action Forum continue?
You know, for a good while, I can remember. When things got better and people started moving out, and you know, they kind of fizzled out.
Did so it was always sort of the mostly men kind of meeting among themselves?
Right, right. And they were, you know, the head of big companies. They
What,
wanted-
what about Citizens Trust? I mean, how do you see who was the head of Citizens Trust, and were they as much a partner as Atlanta Life, or really was Atlanta Life that kind of was the business?
Yates and Milton. For the one thing, they were small. He was Yates and Milton, and they kind of stay in the background. They were kind of small. And then they were really serious trouble, and he helped them to bail them out some kind of way. I don't know what exactly the story, but If it's wireless, I don't need to answer.
So in terms of force and strength. So.
I was going to just ask about the other financial institution, Mutual Federal, where they...
Mutual Federal was also small. There was Fletcher Coombs, but before Fletcher was somebody else I can't remember right now. I can't remember who was. There was somebody else before Fletcher.
So where did your girls go to school?
Nancy studied in Hampton.
For high
school
and high school.
Oh, Nancy went to Southwest.
Yeah, right.
Because we lived in Lynn Valley.
So she never did that sort of integration thing, or?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That was much later.
Yeah.
And Azira went to Northside. And that's when they did no, it was before then. During that time.
Well, they were doing sort of minority.
Yeah, they were doing minority majority.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
And they had, she was interested in the violin, you know. Who could that be? Excuse me.
Call from wireless caller.
I'm sorry, excuse me. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Wireless.
Hello? Huh. Oh. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay, I'm in a little meeting, that's why I couldn't. That's all right, no problem. Thanks. Thank you much. And Zita.
How's she doing?
She's doing fine. She's sending me some food, so that's good news.
Is she a good Cuban cook?
She's a good cook. They both are.
But there's no good Cuban restaurant in Atlanta, is there?
Not really. Coca-Cola is not too bad.
Yeah,
It's fair. But,
but not a great
I
one.
hear there's one in Marietta that I haven't found yet. But no, there.
Do you?
I do my own.
Yeah. Oh, right. Exactly.
Teresa, did you have any other?
Well, the only thing we haven't really talked about is your experiences or any stories you might have to share about Andrew Young
Andy Young and Andy had more than Hill. Hill, there's no story. There was no fun. There was no joke. There was no card playing. There was nothing. That's why I had to find my own place, you know, because it was survival. I think I've been in every boring because I was bored. It was really just.
But you thought you did a lot of things with the symphony.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us about
But
that.
that was just lately. I mean,
Yeah.
not lately, but that was not all I did.
Right.
You know, because I worked with the Urban League and ACP. I worked with Literacy Action, Planned Parenthood. And you have to, because and I worked. But I just couldn't be Mrs. Jessie Hill, you know, because I had something to give too.
Right.
No, I've been at the board for almost 30 years. And
At the symphony.
at the symphony.
Right.
Yeah,
What
they
was it?
finally made me a life member
Yeah.
at the time. Yes.
Yeah. And you introduced a program.
I introduced a program for blacks and Latinos. And the idea was that it's the missing audience, you know. There's a majority Caucasians, and there are some Orientals. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, Orientals really are musicians. I'm telling you, I went to, I visited Juilliard, and it's amazing the number of Oriental students that you see.
And so you did something
So
with the...
yes, I started a program. It's called the Talent Development. It was originally the Black Talent Development, but they didn't let me keep it black. Goizueta offers some money to put Latinos, to include Latinos, so they did, you know. So it's now for blacks and Latinos. And we had to go to a lot of hurdles because they didn't really want it anyway. But I thought that there is a youth symphony that has 120 members, and we have one or two maybe. And when we started investigating what's the problem, number one, they say that blacks don't know how to audition. So I said, well, why don't somebody teach them? So we started, got a group together, and we started presented, had a proposal where the symphony players will teach the students once a week, 1 hour, and that we could raise some money because it was not free. It never been free. It's never been free. But the group raised the money to pay the teacher, and once a week, and they have complimentary tickets to attend concerts, and then later we found out that was not enough. That the summer experience is more important, is most important, and so one of the teachers, Jones, who is the principal base, collected some money and sent a child to see us the experiment. And when he came back, he was so excited, and he had learned so much. They said this has to be part of the program. So then they call it the Azira Hill Scholarship Fund. So we had raised almost $1 million for an endowment, which is not enough for what we want to do, but at least it's the beginning. And so we had 25 students. And on Saturdays, they have available theory classes, and then they have, of course, it's still evolving because they are asked to give community service, and to when they attend a concert, they are to write about it and document what they had learned from that. So it's really been great and been nationally recognized, and so we're very proud about it. Mrs. King was very supportive of it, and so we're still there hanging. And we are next year we're going to celebrate 20 years.
Fantastic. So what was your impression of? Do you remember the first time you knew Andy Young?
First time I knew Andy Young. Actually, he was also always Dr. King. So it was probably then. And I didn't go to meetings, but you go and you sit in the background, sit back there. That's how. And then there were a few social gatherings, like his birthday or something like that, or other things.
But you remember when he decided to run for Congress, and especially the time that Lonnie King ran against him.
Okay.
What was that like, and was that a hard choice?
Well, did you know Jesse Hill, his strategy, and he spent all his time planning, and that a lot of that went on. And you have to find the best candidate, the person can be successful, that can help you to achieve your goal. And I think those were the strategies in meeting you.
So he was always planning, strategizing, calling people at 5 a.m.
And he didn't take all day either, because he would have, different. He would call 5 meetings, one here, he would go here a minute, here another minute. It got to the point when I say I am not hopping all over town anymore, because you just. Especially around Christmas, it runs you crazy. I say, I'm not going to go to everybody else.
So he did this all the time, not
always.
just when there was...
No.
He just always had...
Always. always, and people pull him that way, and he didn't know how to say no, I guess. You know.
Because you said he set up that he would call the 5 meetings.
Well, most time it's about he kind of schedule, I suppose.
Uh-huh. So did he have a room that he would go start calling people at 5 o'clock, or he would wake you up?
No, I've been blessed with a basement all the time. I'm so happy. And he would stay late and early and go down there, and I'd close the door and go to bed and do whatever I need to do. And there was always, he has his space and I had mine.
Because he was famous for calling people
Yeah.
at 5 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
That's when he would start. He started organizing.
That's right.
People at 5
That's
o'clock.
right. When Herman got started spending, when Hill was his consultant, his advisor and everything, and he would go to Herman's first and then go to his office.
When he started the
When he,
construction company?
yeah. Yeah.
So how many other things did he have a hand in? Can you?
Well, there was. Let's say we talk about the integration of the public schools, the University of Georgia, because Charlene and Mary Frances. Then he was in the Board of Regents. I don't know for how long that was. President Carter was governor.
So was he the first black on the board of
I
regents?
think so. Just that was, another experience too, because you go to all of these small towns and people look at you up and down, and look like you come from the moon from there.
So how did he get to know Carter?
Carter reached out for him, I guess. Yeah, because I have a picture of he and Herman and President Carter, Hill, and Herman, and they all were young. Yeah, when he was governor and decided to run for president, he asked Hill to come. I guess they went to the mansion. We can talk about it. And some other time he had always been in touch. In fact, he even sent him, and it's so nice of him to send a note to his birthday. He had a birthday in May. President Carter sent him a note.
So did he support Carter early on?
Yes.
For president?
Yeah.
Is he one of the reasons my dad supported Carter?
May have been. He's always advising. You need to do this, you need to do that.
So who else was on his call list that he was advising?
Oh, geez, so many people. I know he talked to Herman, Vernon Jordan, just everybody.
When Andrew Young was mayor, what role did he have in advising him as mayor?
He probably was very close. I don't know. Once he got him there, they leave him alone. I don't think Andy had to answer that.
Yeah, because I think they would talk almost every day during the campaign.
Yeah.
Every morning at 5 o'clock.
That's why it's hard to see him so quiet. Yeah.
Has anybody done anything about Mr. Hill's life? Is any graduates,
Two people came here with an outline and wanted some money to write a book. No.
We'll have to find a student who wants to do it.
Yeah.
It's a good project. Your husband was one of the first people I met when I came to Atlanta in 1970. And his role with the Chamber of Commerce at that time And of course, I was just a mere student assistant, and he was so helpful to me in learning about the city and introducing me to people that it was really an extraordinary opportunity for me. And I've always been very grateful to him for that.
Yeah, I think he touched a lot of people.
Absolutely.
What do you think he would most like to be remembered for doing in making modern Atlanta?
Well, I think he did what he could, all he could and more, selflessly.
From what you've described, it must have been incredible, from 5 a.m. until late at night, every day. So many organizations and people that he shared himself with.
And, sacrifice. If you sacrifice your family, because your family, I followed as long as I could, But at one point, I can't even tell you when, but I was a school nurse. Mm-hmm. And, I belong to professional organizations, and the school nurses meet at least once or twice a year somewhere, and they had seminars around the world. Mm. And this opportunity for traveling, I always loved to travel. The opportunity for traveling came. And I want to go to some of these meetings, not just to learn about nursing, but also to see the world, And this was a great opportunity, because many times what the airline would do is to offer empty spaces at a cut rate. Like I think I went to Russia for about $1,500 for 2 weeks, something like that. It was amazing. And he couldn't go. So I said, well, I'm sorry, but you can go, but I can't. So I just had to go. Because I had sacrificed all my life following all he wanted to do, And I just said, this is my time. And so one serious situation we had was when they had the groundbreaking of the Atlanta Lights new building. Mm-hmm. I couldn't be here because I had made arrangements to go to Brussels, I think it was, or somewhere, and I went. Mm-hmm. And, that was not a good thing, but I did it.
Yeah.
I did it.
Were you surprised that Atlanta got the Olympics?
No, because, I worked with the Paralympic. Hill was with the Olympic Committee for a while, and then I was asked to work with the Paralympic, I was delighted. And we had all faith that we were going to do it, and that was a fun thing to do, too. Because the committee came to visit, we took some of them to dinner, and, that was a nice thing. Mm-hmm. So just to be there was just, oh my gosh. And I was selected to walk the flag out of the stadium. Oh my gosh, that was really exciting. Thank you. That was really exciting. And we had reunions for a few times, times, kind of.
So how would you compare the Atlanta today from the Atlanta that you saw when you came?
Well, it's a absolutely new, completely new place, new everything. Just totally. Just happy to be a part of it. Didn't dream about it, never, never ever. But it has been a good experience. Yeah.
We certainly want to thank you for your time.
My pleasure. It's wonderful to be able to talk. I spend most of my time here by myself.
Well, we may need to follow up as we find more questions and more issues, and we will certainly be in touch with you if we need to do so. But we do appreciate your willingness to sit down with us, and we thank you for your insights. And I'd never heard of the Atlanta Committee for Cooperative Action.
But I want you to find out about it, because that was really, to me, that was kind of the groundwork of the student movement and all of that had happened.
Well, that's what it made me think of, because that a lot of the data that was in the statement, the students' statement that was in the newspaper, sounds like it may have originated with this
That's right.
document.
That's right, because you see some of the people, and right, and yeah. That's-
The manifesto.
Sorry.
Hi, Mark. Thank you so much.
No problem, just letting you
All
know
right, this is
something.
Mark. Come here, honey.
Oh, okay.
This is Mark Kendall.
Hi, how are you?
Grandson.
Andrea, yeah.
This is
How are
Andrea.
you?
Hi, nice to meet you.
This is Azira Hill.
How are you doing?
Oh, nice to meet you all.
Great.
Great. Yeah, it's on the counters.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, great.
All right.
Nice meeting you all.
All right.
This is Azira Hill.
Yeah. Mark graduated from Northwestern, and he's in town now, so looking for a job.
Yes,
So.
I know. It's tough.
And thank you again for your willingness to meet with us, and you're most gracious in all your
Beautiful comment.
comments.
Okay.